Thanks for tuning in to my official channel, Reverend MeeLing. Been known by a few names. Still me at the end of it. Doesn't matter. Still me. So, been known by Susan MeeLing, Reverend Susan MeeLing, Susan MeeLing, Lady MeeLing, Lady Dori Belle, so on and so forth. So, I'm going to continue reading from the book I authored, Failsafe, the Kennedy Curse fused with science fiction fantasy, written by me, Susan MeeLing. I did not know that the NASA station in Houston is called the Kennedy Center until less than a couple minutes ago. From watching the current President of the United States of America and the First Lady of the United States of America, the Trumps, and the Vice President of the United States of America, Pence, with Mr. Elon Musk at the Kennedy Space Center in Houston, Texas, just before starting this up. So, you know, it's kind of a little bit ironic. A little bit of a coinky-dink there. So, I'm going to continue reading in a Torah style of way. And, you know, it's just kind of weird. I didn't know. A lot of stuff. So, continuing on page 221, which is ironic because my son and my daughter are born 1 year, 2 weeks, and 2 days apart. Ready? The globe started spinning forward at a higher speed, only to stop and spin in reverse. Similar to the nauseating effect from amusement park rides, the molten core liquid began to churn and spin within the encasing crust. The faster the core of the Earth spun, the more violent the sporadic bolts of energy flared. Intermittently changing direction at Gaia's whim, new energy strikes of random electrical impulses flowed from the center, through the various layers and outward to the living creatures above. Volcanoes created on their own. Tectonic plates shifted and collided into one another before receding to reverse and strike into another different group of plates. Throughout each shift of the tectonic roots, trees and underground missile silos collapsed. Underground plumbing and power transporting devices shattered, spewing chemicals into the air and the ground. Extremely slowly, all beings, including Earth, started to decompose from the inside out. Some appliances waddled throughout the building while using a handle during the movement to attack another human, holding the unplugged cables on a handle. Other people ran from one electronic device to the next in hopes to find a way to make something work properly. Tractors started running the engines on their own as the plant life began creeping across the ground, sending up another thorned root as people screamed for understanding underneath the crimson blood sky. Complaining and begging for mercy, the people of Earth could not comprehend all events occurring simultaneously. Throughout the globe, the exuberant voice declared as the rolling thunder boomed during lightning strikes, "The nations were angry, and my wrath has come. The time for the head of all whom should be judged, and that which deserve reward." A blood-curdling echo throughout the universe. "Unto my servants, the prophets, and to my saints, fear not. Those who fear my name, both small and great, shall be exterminated because of those which destroyed the earth." Stupid jerk. Not any differently from other machines, the coffee makers would not turn on and the stove stopped working correctly. Pilot lights ignited their own large flames from gas line ruptures, creating shrapnel from the metal shards, slicing through anything and everyone with projectile areas. The combustible material mutilated all flesh and bone. Microwaves and toasters shot anything within the machines out forcefully, causing much damage within the nearby 20-foot radius. All blenders without a hand-holding top of the lid shot the top towards the ceiling as the refrigerator and electrical fuses blew out the enclosing doors. Vacuum cleaners reversed the air suction and spewed all of the cleaned particles out of the confined filters. All types of fans spun wildly, shooting the blades, decapitating and killing those using the boomerang effect. Gas lines started fires in houses while propane tanks began to simultaneously combust. The few remaining phone landlines would not make a sound when off the receiver, and all of humanity wondered what phenomenon was in the midst of the day. Light bulbs shattered overhead as most screamed in fear, while some attempted waiting longer amounts of time for the problems to clear away. Wild birds started pecking out the eyes of any moving creature. All types of bears pretended they were possums with injuries to lure unsuspecting animal lovers close. Once in the grasp of any one of the bear's grasps, the animals used one claw to scalp the person, sucking out their brain matter through the nostrils of their nose dry before the large creature discarded the body to the side. On the farms, the cows and horses started walking on their front two hooves to utilize the shock from the sight to catch humans off guard, using a single kick to deliver one deathly blow to the faces of anyone caught within their crosshairs. Domesticated chickens broke free from the property lines, flying into trees to peck at the wood. Once the lumber fell to the ground, the domesticated turkeys aligned themselves facing one direction. Running at the same time, the farm birds directed the freshly chopped logs to run over everything in their path, chopping while their bodies moved fluidly. Rabbits, prairie dogs, moles, rats, groundhogs, and all other rodents burrowed as far down to the core of the earth as possible, digging downward as far as their claws and paws could move simultaneously. They allowed the molten core of the earth to creep upward towards the crevices. Metals within the wires throughout all the buildings started buzzing and humming different pitches, causing dogs to howl at random and uncontrollably. Cats screeched and moaned, similar to looking for a mate when in heat, causing the masses additionally unnecessary frustration. Even the biggest animal lovers began slaughtering the ones creating the noises and ruckuses with the closest implement or weapon. Adding to the beginning of the chaos, all caged birds screeched and squawked while flapping their wings until killing themselves along the metal bars. Zoo caged animals slammed against their containers until they were free or dead. Quickly running amok within the streets, the elephants trampled throughout streetways, crushing vehicles and bumping along tall structures. Ostriches and giraffes were being attacked by the monkeys and gorillas. Again, the energetically loud voice boomed throughout the skies. I beheld and heard an angel flying through the mist of heaven with voices crying. So it has been written in the book of Revelations, chapter 8, verse 13. Items as simple as pushpins became deadly weapons. The energy forces surrounding and filling the planet created an unseen mayhem from the magnetic pole changes. Unbeknownst to mankind, a series of events were the beginning point of awakening Mother Earth to cleanse herself, removing all from her entirety of which was no longer necessary for her highest good. The globe began shifting. Though the scientists and engineers had not planned or calculated for such a massive world event at this point of the millennium. The reality is no one will tell Mother Nature when she will change by any certain terms, absorbing all of the communication waves describing the estimation of her arrival. She decided to inform mankind otherwise. No one can or will control her change of seasons or mood, as the same with any other hell-bent female on earth. Combining other multiple factors for her final decision, she sent signals to other planetary groups for acknowledgement. At the precise time and correct alignments within the universe were stricken, so too were the globe of the earth by exterior forces. Crying out louder and with more dramatization, within the screaming vocal inflections, "Woe to the inhabitants of the earth, for they know where the cherubim dwell." By reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels, which are yet to sound. Causing instant poisoned flooding throughout the grounds and lands covering the globe, villages and towns disappeared within the blink of an eye, unsuspecting, unknown to any human or animal. Almost everyone in the world using some form of electronic device ceased to function in the middle of usage. Music stopped playing through all individual speakers and earbuds, while each piece of technology stopped streaming videos. Video games and multiplayer online games lost all bandwidth, while headset communication screeched high-pitched sounds, pulsating oddly. Piercing noises caused all to have blood and brain matter flow out of their ears into the encompassing cups. Earbuds preventing the stream caused the bleeding to mix with the brain fluids and seep out of all other orifices. Inexplicably leaving the body as an acidic compound, the remnants of the chemical compound from the human remains continued burning. Moving through everything it became into contact with like acid. It devoured all within the movement of the heated bubbling. Not one desktop nor laptop computer could produce the error page from any website. Tablets and e-readers changed colors to join other computers, turning off within seconds of the closest technology piece. Shortly, the same screen problems affected each other computer screen, causing darkness everywhere. While all cell phones turned as black as night, the telephone poles and light posts started toppling over. Not one person in the world had access to any item working related in any way to electricity. Large public television screens and house televisions flickered briefly before the bulbs and fuses spit shattered pieces to the masses below in the common areas. Returning to whatever the people were before the illusion faded, the voice bellowed, "Peace from that which is, that which was, and that which is to come." Just as when the return to reality set in to all, the voice boomed, "These come from the seven spirits which are before the throne. Such has been declared millenniums ago and written in the book of Revelations in chapter 1, verse 4. On the other side of the world, from the college campuses at 3:33 in the morning, on the other side of the world, near the deepest cave of China, all electronical devices ceased accepting any satellite transmissions. Drones and remote-controlled hobby crafts crashed after losing signal connections. Remotes for the distant objects shocked the user and burned their fingertips. Dropping to the ground, the remotes began eating away at the ground beneath where they lay. Similar to acid, handheld electronic devices melted through the material of the earth. Pumps controlling swimming pools spewed out all the chemicals into small enclosed spaces in one instant, just as the water treatment plants had similar problems as the pools on a global scale. Manhole covers shot into the air while the sewers flooded through the rain guards at ferocious speeds. Public bathrooms with drains in the floor suddenly had raw sewage creep through the metal screens, then pouring similar to a creek, small, through the floors and out through the rooms. Hydroelectric areas and water dams had multiple major malfunctions and glitches, causing water to flow outward uncontrollably. Dams and levees broke away from their set posts and areas, mixing with the sewage and chemicals. Shocked to see nothing except pure white light in one direction, and a pitch-black darkness in the opposite fields of view. All of a sudden, all of the existence of mankind were suddenly standing together on one dividing line, silent and petrified. Towards the front of the group of people sat a woman figure draped in fine white linens, while sitting on top of a throne in the center of a pedestal. Made of glimmering metal and precious stones, the throne shined brighter than the figure, towering over the physique with tall rods. Standing, a canopy within the throne created additional flair. Within the statuesque cathedral seat, all throughout the globe saw the same projection of the shadow on the throne. Without much initial movement, the silhouette began to reveal herself. All were speechless as she descended to the crowds after walking through large ostrich feather fans. Suddenly, each individual person saw themselves standing on a single square of what seemed to look like an infinite chessboard, separated by an abyss of emptiness. Many watched the fate of those who dared to step off of their personal block, listening to the screams while they fell until the yells faded into non-existent. Many paid attention to the surrounding. All could see her body and skin adorned with jewelry, golden filled, with multiple-sized precious stones. Holding a shining metal staff with a glittery globe on the top, her beauty froze the souls of those who looked directly at her gorgeous nature. Using the cane to strike each piece of ice-covered stone with a simple swipe, the remnants shattered and fell into the holes between the squares. When the set of justice scales lowered towards the never-ending global chessboard, she stated, "I am Mott, here to judge your souls." Another balanced scales landed, and she added, "I appreciate the ease you have made my work for me with your social media revolution." Suddenly, all returned to the last location on Earth they had been, and the being disappeared into the sky, screaming, "You were warned many times over." Out of the blue, and seemingly hearing the sounds originate from the bluest skies above the globe, the entire world heard a booming voice state, "There are 7 churches which are in Asia, and as I say, be grace unto you." Chuckles, clueless and afraid, the rest awaited nervously. Just when a couple people began to throw extra ideas to the crowd, all the salts from the ocean filled the skies overhead. Large and small chunks of solid pieces of sea salt began plummeting further towards the earth at an unprecedented speed. Few people were injured before being killed, while others ran for cover, finding safety just in the nick of time. Only 4 individuals per major city survived the salt from the ocean orbs of fury. New voices emerged from nowhere and demanded all humans move outside of the building structures, warning of the inevitable collapses. The masses poured out of the buildings, while the few who thought they knew better coaxed others to remain with them underneath the protection of the erections, only to be crushed after the last non-believer remained, and the last believer ran free from the structures. Revealing the bright sun above, the people were in amazement of the fireworks shooting outward. Comets and fireballs shot from the sun brought every one of the remaining dwindling people watching the explosions with tear-filled eyes. The blinding bright lights turned the heads and attention back to the holograms from the stationary technology pieces. Screeching at the top of the lungs for the universe to hear in declaration, "Judge every man and woman according to their works." Thunderous roars sent shockwaves to pierce through the top of all mountains, striking downward to the core. Any mountain range with hidden tunnels from the material crumbled within the blink of an eye. Structures from the missile silos and underground subway systems were crushed and obliterated as the ground beneath collapsed. Crop circles throughout cornfields and at the bottom of the ocean created beams of light for the universe to witness. Stonehenge and the pyramids illuminated the atmosphere, creating color shifts within the sky. The individuals within classified containment areas suddenly learned it was not broken from impact. The beings and items held within the military compounds were simply in sleep mode. The blood-curdling cries from the scientists pleased the beings watching the events unfold, while the public stood holding their wounds. Screeching from the banshees overwhelmed all. Wondering whether they should leave or wait for instructions, the people stood together, whispering amongst themselves while completely being filled with fear. All pondered what the next move should be. Some people posed the possibility to run towards another city, fleeing for safety. Many objects throughout the group stated this city and location could not be the only place affected. Looking towards the skies above the clouds, changing shapes and colors overhead, everyone was beyond words. While many students cringed and freaked out trying to explain pictures to other students, many people were speechless and covered their mouths with their fingertips as the images and accounts were associated together. The troll accounts were linked on the board for all to see when female students lunged to attack another undergraduate. Male students ran from their desks to tackle other students to the ground, repeatedly punching whatever their fist could land on. A set of technology devices were thrown in random directions, smashing onto the ground floor, causing the shrapnel to pierce through plenty of bodies. Shattering against the walls and floors upon impact, the inanimate items were used to destroy the flesh. The fighting continued when more than half of the desks were picked up intermittently and smashed over another person's body. People took broken legs from the chairs to bludgeon each other as the whiteboard started spinning counterclockwise, rotating in the middle of the air faster as the students did not notice anything beyond their immediate problems within their consciousness. During the chaotic mayhem, the slicing began as the spinning continued just before the whiteboard disconnected fully from the suspension points, moving to pierce through the wall of the building and killing anyone within the path. The whiteboard flew out of the room and upward into the air, projecting itself further into the sky as the attacks continued. The teacher watched with a grin. Inri proclaimed and declared, "The sea gave up the dead which were in it, as death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them all." With arms raised slowly, yelled, "All of them were judged." Spanning throughout the different members of the horrified classroom, Inri stated, "The dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works." Inri continued the synopsis along by saying, while using one finger to scroll the information on the tablet and project social media accounts of various classmates on the whiteboard, "The books were opened and another book was opened, which is the book of life." Encouraging the undergraduates to share their stories with one another, sat to listen to their claimed reasons or excuses of grievances. The major parts of the class chuckled and nodded, looking to several friends, mentioning the most memorable moment of their mother figure in defense of a negative comment about their child. Several described a mom watching their Little League game and began becoming physically removed because of the remarks made to the referee. Embarrassing their children worse than most father figures, the class laughed off at their "that mom" narratives. Some laughed about their father who had been their mother, leaping across a desk to slap the school employee, then commenting about the father figure pulling the other parent off of a school official as the mom scratched and pulled hair. Others told stories of mothers who dealt with the PTA in their own deviously special and unique ways. Many were reluctant to discuss moments of their mother's attacks for someone solely looking at the child's direction with the wrong facial expression, usually adding additional comments of this only being the beginning of their mom's wrath and fury, while several moved in their chairs uncomfortably. Towards the end of the open discussion, the classroom and the teacher agreed a crazy Psycho X has nothing in comparison to a mom protecting their child. Henry continued the synopsis along by saying, while using one figure to information on the tablet and project the social media accounts again of various classmates on the whiteboard, "The books were opened and another book was opened, which is the book of life. By the time they realized the actions creating the problems, it was too late for those cherubim by your mom's standards. A devious smile grew on the teacher's face as inquiring to the room to ponder, how would your mother's reaction should someone try to harm any of their children? Another undergraduate paying attention and awaiting the next statement, as watching the teacher sigh prior to stating ominously, the saying should truly be, hell hath no fury like a mother scorn. Such a statement is very close, but extremely wrong when compared to God. Several students laughed from their bellies while nodding and looking in the other classmates' direction with a knowing grin, while waiting for the interpersonal commentary to state their opinions. Some within the classroom chuckled lightheartedly when the professor stated in frustration, I was told that there is no hell hath fury like a woman's scorn. Chuckling within the room occurred, who is this guy? Motioning his hands around the invisible globe as the classroom snickered at the sad puns, the professor asked, do you have a scrying mirror or crystal ball? Opening the protective cover to the tablet off to the side of the desk, poising the question to the students. Did you know it says, I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God? So it has been written in Revelations chapter 20, verses 12 through 13. Henry added with a small grin. Watching the undergraduates relax and become entranced with the thought-provoking philosophical comments and presentation, while saying as taking a seat at the desk, I thought Dr. Kevorkian was taken care of years ago. Pondering how much tougher the crowd could get to laugh as the professor said to the group while leaning back in the proverbial throne, Behold, I make all things new, and I instruct you all to write. For these words I have written are true and faithful, and I say unto you, it is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him a thirst of the fountain for the water of life freely. Taking a moment of silence, since I rule your grades over this course period, time is on my side. Shrugging shoulders as the professor inquired, can we technically say we know what time is? Or is time as we know it truly not time? Leaning towards the group, questioning them, how can nothing else pass away or to go to die? Neither shall there be any more pain from the former aspects of life. Can you picture how life could be without regret or sorrow? Can you imagine this life without any crying from anyone? How is such a thing possible when the verse adds neither sorrow nor crying, as it had been declared in Revelations chapter 21, verse 4 through 6, God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death. Revelations in chapter 2, verse 11, that which is holy, let that which is holy be holy still. That which is righteous shall be righteous still. And those cherubim which are filthy, let them be filthy still. For those who are unjust, let them be unjust still. Time is at hand for the prophecies of the book. you will be able to seek humor from the book of Revelations, from verse 18 in chapter 11. I am showing you many sides of the spiritual and technological sides, mixing within this scientific world. Those who fear my name, small and great, shall be destroyed by those which are guilty of destroying the earth. Thou shalt give reward with a gracious heart unto thy servants the prophets, and unto the saints of heaven. They too shall be evaluated for their choices, actions, words, and lack of deeds. For the time the dead comes, and is when all shall be judged. The nations were angry, and thy wrath has come. The essays I will demand will speak for themselves of the hellish requirements for the volumes within the writings. And as your professor, my words will reverberate in your brains for aeons to come, for this is the beginning of some heavenly aspects. Also the things which shall be hereafter. Also write of the things which you are. Write the things which thou hast seen with thine own eyes. For I have the keys of heaven and hell. Amen. For I am alive evermore. Behold! So it has been written in the book of Revelations, chapter 1, verse 18. For I am the one that lives, and I was once dead. Ironically, I had a head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. And there is that. So, that is just a quick little reading. And as a quick little commentary on what I just read, I would guesstimate in certain regards there are plenty of individuals, in reference to my book Finding the Silver Lining and Finding a Silver Lining by me, Susan MeeLing, that could testify to various aspects that I had warned people of before putting that into writing. Probably well before I even discussed certain things as far as the treatment of various individuals. I would also guesstimate there are plenty of people who could testify in regards of what it actually takes to earn a Medal of Honor. As well as testify in reference to the modern day book written by me, Susan MeeLing, in regards to what others caused problems for wrongly. Not just to the Medal of Honor recipient spirits in the cemeteries they lay within, at least their physical remains, but also different locations of various cities and states that I had gone through, just simply being respectful. Thank you for tuning in. Like and share my official videos. Subscribe to my official channel, Reverend MeeLing, the Ornery PSA. And go to my website, www.susanmeeling.com. You guys have a